Did you know actually the Barbarian is the best character in all of Diablo 2 Resurrected? That's the case I'm laying out here today. If you agree or disagree, let me know down in the comments and exactly why. If you do end up joining the video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe up for future Diablo 2 Resurrected content. And with any character, when you're talking about being the best in the game, where are you going to start? The start of the game. We're talking about the playthrough here right off at the beginning. Now, when you look at the skills, usually you're going to end up coming down and using double swing at first. That's going to be your main as you go through playing through at the very beginning. And I'm not going to lie, the playthrough on the Barbarian is a struggle. It is a struggle. There's no lie. So this isn't necessarily an argument for it being the best, but I got to be honest with you. But once you get past the early beginning, once you beat the game, you get out magic fighting. That's where this character is absolutely bananas. One of the best magic fighting characters in the game. And that's why I argue that it could be considered the best character in the entire game. Now, there are different end game builds that you can use. We're not gonna sit too much on the early game because, like I said, it's such a struggle. You just gotta fight, bash your way through with double swing and whatever. But once you get through further and do the last part of the playthrough, generally people will come down to use Warcry. They'll get a spirit sword or a couple spirit swords, whatever they can get, and you end up using that. It also is a bit of a struggle on the playthrough because it's not much of a boss killer and things along those lines, but that's the best way to go. But once you get past that, there's a few different end game builds that people use quite a bit. Whirlwind is pretty darn popular. Another really popular one for doing Holy Grails is doing a like Pit Zerker or a Pindle Zerker or whatever you want to call it. So you just run like players 1, maybe like players 3 or something if you're crazy. But really, just players 1 for hunting champions is perfectly fine. And Berserk, you can just like 1 or 2 tap them and down they go. Frenzy is a little bit more of one for clearing mobs. You can run around super fast. But it's used probably the least out of the 3 just because it's so popular to use more of the other 2. And then we're going to move on to the next one that's pretty popular. It's one of my favorites because then you don't have to aim or anything like that. That's the Endgame Warcry Barbarian. Now, the reason this Singer Barb, as some people call it, is because you have the small area of effect. You can chop down monsters. It's great at running in the pits. And like I said, I love the fact that you don't have to aim. You got that little circle of damage around you that goes off. So you max out Warcry and all of its synergies. You obviously want to get battle orders and battle commands. So we go ahead over to here. 1 base points into those, but we got all this stuff maxed out for its synergies. Actually, not quite maxing out Howl. But if I get every point afterwards, I'm going to go ahead and put into that. The really, probably one of the most OP skills in the game, though, as far as magic finding and getting gear. It's probably teleport, I'm going to be honest, but this is probably the second most OP skill in the entire game, and it is find item. If you're out there holy grailing and you chop down the champions, you pop it with find item. With this current setup that I have a 71% chance of getting a second drop from that monster. Now, that's pretty dang good, and the thing is that's not affected by the players count. So even if you do it on players 1 difficulty and you use it on every single monster, let's say the monsters only have a 30% chance to drop an item. When you use find item on the second time, that is right out the window. It literally doesn't matter. You'll have a 71% chance of getting an item. So people love using find item out at Trav, just players 1. You kill the council as fast as you can because they have much lower life on players 1 than players 3, players 8, players 7, whatever. And then you use find item on them as quick as you can. Boom, 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 boom. And you get a 71% chance of, that's like the equivalent of, I'm kind of speculating here, but probably almost a player's 8 difficulty. I think it's 80 something percent for a player's 8. Maybe it's the equivalent of like a player's 5 or something, but still, for the kill speed on players 1, find item, it honestly, just take my word for it, fellas. It is so incredibly amazing when you're holy grailing or just trying to find items literally everywhere. Now, when you look at the rest of the skill tree, every barbarian, you got to go 1 point wonders right here. Natural res, iron skin, increased speed, and increased stamina. Increased stamina, who really cares? You want to get down to increased speed anyways, right? But great 1 point wonders. Combat skills on this particular barb that I'm showing you today, absolutely nothing. When you take a look over at the stats, not enough strength and dex to wear your gear because you don't really need to worry about it. But I actually have, right here, you can see, I actually have the points split between energy and vitality. Energy, I got about 150 base points. Tilt my head over a little bit. I got 340, so it's about 2-to-1 ratio. You can split this any way you want to based upon feel, but it really is quite mana hungry. And I stacked all magic find, and you could do things like use wizard spikes. Go ahead and slide that overfill. It gives you a bunch more increased mana. That'll help out your mana issues. You could wear Frost Burns or something, help out mana issues, Silk Weaves, mana after kill, a bunch of little things like that. But I decided to stack Magic Find, and I just put some points into energy because running the pits and things like that I'm using this for are really doing anything, whether you're running Thresh Shocket, Pindle, whatever. You don't need to worry about survivability much at all. I did manage, the reses are stacked. That's because of the gear I got on that I don't even have on for that particular purpose. But that purpose is actually right here, and that's to get the cast rate and the skills. You see I have dual Heart of the Oaks over here. So that's 80% faster cast rate. Remember, the breakpoint's at 105. So all we have to do to get to that 105 is throw on an Arachnid's Mesh. You get an all skill, which is awesome to get. Actually, a little increased mana, but 20 FCR. So now we're up to 100. We just need 5 more. So any caster amulet is the go-to here with this, that, and that. Now, if you have the dual Whiz Spikes version, you don't necessarily need the Arachnid's Mesh. You still could for the skill and stuff. Or you could throw on a Gold Wrap for more Magic Find because you'd have 50, 50, and then the caster amulet for 105. The rest of the gear is all the go-tos for Magic Find characters. We've got Harlequin's Crest. We've got Shaco. You got to have that teleport, right? And everything else on there that's absolutely godly along with that Magic Find based upon your character level. We've got Chance Guards, Dual Nagels, and of course we got War Travelers. Now, generally I'd want to have more Warcry skillers. I just have 2, unfortunately, but you could stack these across for more damage, or you could take them right out to stack more Magic Find. Up to you. Now, of course, you got to have a Geeds, Torch, and Annie. And I actually do have a Bone Breaker here, the Sunder Charm for physical, because Warcry is physical damage. Because I was actually doing some Terror Zones where you could occasionally come across these particular physical resistant monsters. Most locations you do not need this. You could just take this right out and you'll be perfectly fine. Almost all the time, to be honest. I don't use one of these, but the last locations I was doing, I needed it to do a little testing and things like that. So that's why I have it in here. Completely optional on that side. On the swap, it literally doesn't really matter on this particular build. So I have a couple flails over here. I actually have 2 lacerators because I was rocking a throw bar before I was using this character and I just never swapped them. Over on the mercenary here, we've got the inside. I feel like this is almost mandatory with some physical builds. People like throwing a Reaper's Toll over here, but I feel like the mana is mandatory. It's a meditation or a mandatory, I feel. So throw on a inside, I would prefer. Fortitude and Andes, another good setup. Obviously the Towels and the Treachery, excuse me, are another great option to have over here. Now, after we see what this build exactly is right there, why don't we go test it out in a few different areas to see how much this thing slaps if you don't know. So the first place we're going to run is the go-to for any of these barbarians when you're magic finding, and that is down into the pits. Let's just go ahead and hit some of these monsters on the way down. Is this still sit on players 8 difficulty? I think so. That's a little bit on the slow side. That's got to be players 8, right? Yes, it was. So now that we're down in the pits, see the champion, target him, you Warcry him down, and then you go ahead and item find him. Was there another champion over here? Don't see one. Let's find the next. Here's a little pack right here. Warcry them down and item find them. Here's another one. Whoop, get back here, lady. Warcry them down, item find them. You see, I'm doing probably about half the damage, and my mercenary, honestly, is doing like half the damage as well. Hey, you got your mercenary, you're bringing him out into the world with you. You might as well have him be doing some good damage for you too, huh? There, that one goes down. Item find him. Hoping to get lucky, not on that particular one. But you see the speed at which you can move around, especially with teleport. If you didn't know this, actually, the Barbarian has the exact same teleport frames and the same cast rate frames as the Sorceress. So you really can be casting quite quickly. This whole side of my map, actually, there's no champions over there for whatever reason. It's kind of a crazy setup. But it's good to know that you don't really need to go over there. And Warcry down. And you notice not even having to aim literally at all. Go ahead, down to the lower level here. And take a few more opportunities here. I love finding something crazy on the video. But right here we got Stone Skin. Stone Skin will slow you down. But hey, it happens. You know, you get some of those crazy auras, crazy rolls on the affixes for bosses. And sometimes things happen like that. Pop the chest open. We got one more champion. I don't know about right here, huh? Down it goes, and you use the find item, and nothing this time. But you see a good example right here. You got the 4 potions and an item, and then I found item on that particular monster, and you got 4 more items and a potion. Literally double drops from the champions in the 85 areas, which, if you didn't know this, they can drop every single item in the entire game. Let's go ahead and check out another place this is great for. And the Barbarian is great and known for out at Trav. Now, I'm going to be honest, the Singer is probably one of the worst of these particular ones because you don't leech any life and you see all of this fire damage coming at you. But you definitely can with these endgame Barbarian here. You see my health and my mercenary is pretty much fine. But you see I'm almost out of mana there. I had to go ahead and use a full rejuvenation potion. So this is more for usually anyways, like Whirlwind or Frenzy or even Berserk. But there you go ahead and chop them down, and then go ahead and you find item, and this is just players 1 difficulty. Boom, 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 another item, another item, another item, another item. So they just keep flying out. Like I said, remember, the find item has nothing to do with the player's count. So you get the same number of items from the find item specifically on players 1 as players 8 even. If you wanted to, of course, you can come out here and hit Eldritch and Shank. A couple champions along with it as well. Perfectly acceptable and does perfectly fine out here. This is a pretty safe area that people always use to test out their builds, right? Heli stomp ya, hit ya, shank the overseer, see ya! So he goes down. And we'll hop onto one of my favorites right here. Personally, Arius Plateauphil, what are you talking about? Oh yeah, we got Thresh Shocket. Sing him down, boom. You can find all kinds of stuff. You can get D-Web from here, you can get Wind Force. I actually got not a Tyrell's Might, but a Templar's Might. He can't drop Tyrell's Might. But another go-to for the Barbarians is quickly chugging out here and running Pindle. This is an absolute classic, right? Chop down Pindle. Hopefully get lucky with something crazy. Elegant Blade. I mean, I wouldn't call that crazy lucky, but hey, it's a semi-rare unique, I suppose. What is this one again? I can't remember. For the vid, Blood Moon. There you go. So there's some of the classic places and how you kind of use this, and I hope you see the incredible, crazy power of the find item skill. It really is absolutely amazing. So hey, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe up for future Diablo 2 Resurrected content. And let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with the statement, the Barbarian's best character in the entire game. Peace out, fellas, and keep slaying.